Hey guys, my name is Nicolette Bashile. I am also known as the Financial Bunny. Welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. Today we're talking about how to plan for a car purchase using bank financing. Now remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are, however, looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody who is certified and registered with the FSCA. Now buying a car is really exciting, and that is why it's so important to make sure that you get it right the first time you do it. So I'm going to be giving you a couple of things that you need to consider, or rather start planning to do before you buy the car. Now remember, buying a car is not like walking into a supermarket and picking something off the shelf. You're buying the car to be able to assist you with the quality of your life, to move you around, get you to your job, and basically help you in the means of your income, getting your income. What's that? Getting your salary. Anyway, so it's so important to make sure that if you are going to be buying it, especially if you're going to be using bank finance, you do it well and correctly. So the first thing that I think you need to be doing, number one, is to ensure that you already have a budget in mind. So how do you do this? The first and most important thing is to choose the budget before you choose the car. Now I know that sounds very difficult, and in most instances it's an ideal and not always the practice, right? It's important to make sure that you don't hurt your own feelings by looking at cars that you actually cannot afford. The best thing is to really make up your mind and get your mind wrapped around the fact that there is a certain amount of money that you want to spend on a car. I promise you, it's a psychological trick that really works, because if you set your budget at 200,000 Rand and then you know that you can only get cars over 200,000 Rand, your brain starts to shuffle around as to what cars it thinks are 200,000 Rand or below. And then when you start looking, you can even get pleasantly surprised, because some of the models you didn't even think could be below the price of 200,000 Rand are, right? So it gets you really excited about the purchase that you're going to be making. Now, once you've set up a ceiling of a price of how much it is that you want to spend on a car, go to the repayment calculators. Companies like WestBank have those. Go and put in the amount that you want to spend on a car, the interest rate you think the bank is going to give you. So I always say, if you're a new buyer, input prime plus 3 or 4%, right? So prime is 10.5. So if you're adding 3, it's going to be 13.5. That's what you should essentially be trying to aim for, or less. You don't want anything that is above that. It's just way too high. Then the next thing is, of course, try and get the least amount of years in terms of the loan repayment term. Because the higher the loan repayment term is, the more money you're going to end up paying. Long-term financing is very much expensive financing. So rather keep it at around about 3, 4, 5 years max. Don't go for the 6 years, don't go for the 7 years that they are actually putting out there. It is absolutely ridiculous. And try and calculate how much per month you are going to be expected to pay. Put that on one side. Go to the insurance companies or hippo.com, hippo.co.za, and try and see how much insurance you would possibly pay as a new-time driver or an experienced driver, as somebody who's never been in accidents, somebody who's been in accidents, what your insurance could be. So try to benchmark it. Also look at other factors like where you stay, what the car is going to be used for. Take that amount, add it on to the bank's installment that you are going to be paying, right? Then the last thing is calculate how much petrol you think you're going to need every single month. Now be realistic about this, because we all try to calculate or to allocate a small amount of money to petrol. The reality is, all of a sudden your ups and downs are going to be so much more frequent in the beginning when you have a car, but you will learn to, you'll find out later on that you start minimizing those, because driving around and finishing the petrol on weekends and you don't have money to go to work is not going to work for you. So in the beginning, you're going to be upping and downing, right? But it becomes less and less frequent as time goes by. But rather allocate a right amount of money. I'd rather you overestimate than underestimate how much money you're going to need for petrol. Add that also to the car. If you're buying a second-hand car, you need to ask yourself if the car still has enough warranty, it has a maintenance plan, all of those plans that you need to be able to not have to pay anything out of your pocket if something is to break. If not, then you need to put together a kitty for your car. So allocate a certain amount of money. But if you don't need to, because all of those plans are still in place, a service plan is still there, a maintenance plan is still there, a warranty is still there, then you don't need to add anything. Total all of those amounts and come down with a monthly amount that is going to cost you the bank, the running costs, and the maintenance cost of your car. Because remember, a car is not merely the bank that you need to pay. You need to pay insurance, you need to pay petrol, and you need to pay the maintenance of that car. So now once you've got a total amount, let's say it amounts to 8,000 Rand, you're now going to go on an expedition. The expedition is going to be you putting away 8,000 Rand every single month from your budget. I know. People are going to say to me, yeah, but it's 8,000 Rand minus my current transport fees. Absolutely. So you can subtract whatever your current fees are from the 8,000 Rand, but the balance of that, you've got to put away into a high-yielding interest account, right? You're going to put that money into a high-yielding interest account. If your car is going to cost you, let's say 6,000 Rand, 8,000 Rand minus 2,000 for your current transport fees, then you're left with 6,000 Rand. You're going to put away 6,000 Rand every single month. Now, if you do this for 5 months, you would have put 30,000 Rand away. You're going to go back then to the car dealership that you have found where you are potentially going to find the car of your dreams, and you're going to buy that car. When you get to the dealership, you tell the dealership that you are looking for a car worth 200,000 Rand. Right. You don't tell them that you have a deposit at hand, because the moment you tell them that you've got a deposit at hand, the salesperson in their head adds that 30,000 Rand to the actual 200,000. So they're going to try and find you a car that's worth 230,000 instead of finding you a car that's 200,000 Rand. It is to your benefit, because if you put down a deposit, you are essentially borrowing less from the bank, which means that you're going to pay less overall in the entirety of the actual loan that you're going to be borrowing from the bank, right? So it's important that you do not let the salesperson know about this extra 30,000 Rand that you've got that you are planning to use as a deposit. So they need to find you a car with all of its extras, with all of its bells and whistles that costs you only 200,000 Rand. Now, once you're done with the sales guy, you're going to go into a room called the F&I. Now, the F&I is the room of the finance and insurance specialist. They're going to be the ones that are going to assist you in getting that loan from the different types of banks or credit providers. The other thing they're going to be doing is offering you all sorts of different insurance policies. Now, remember what I said. The 200,000 Rand needs to cover you for everything that you need. All of it, tire insurance, car warranty, everything must come down to 200,000 Rand. Licensing, number plate, everything, registry, 200,000 Rand and nothing more. Because that is your budget. That's what you are comfortable with, right? Then, when you are discussing with the F&I specialist, it's very important to tell them that you want a deal from a financial institution, whether bank or credit provider, that is one, got no balloon payment, because a balloon payment may look really attractive because it lowers the installment that you're going to pay every single month. But there is still this amount that has been taken off that's waiting for you to come to the end of your actual contract or your loan period. And then that huge lump sum is expected from you. That is just not, it's not the best way to close off any car deal or any car agreement or any car loan agreement, right? So ask them for no balloon. The second thing you want to say to them is that you have worked out your numbers based on an interest rate of 13%, not 13.5, 13%. That's prime plus 2.5%. You don't tell them about the extra 0.5% that you use to be able to get the numbers that you got when you were doing the first expedition exercise, right? So now you're saying to them, 13% is my max. Go and find me the deal. Then they go and do that, right? And you can say to them also, over and above that, I want my contract to be 5 years or less and nothing more than that. 5 years or less. Right? Now, this might not be the best deal that you're putting together for yourself. Perhaps maybe the banks wanted to give you something a little bit better. So maybe giving these kind of numbers to the dealership is actually screwing yourself. However, this is going to ensure that you get at least what you are expecting or even better. Now, I like psychology. I like to trick my mind. I like to know what I'm going to get. Perhaps maybe I've got control issues and maybe you're not like me, but I find it's important to know exactly what I'm going to expect. And when I do get something better, I get really excited. Right, now after you've done all of this, you then ask them, then you sign your deal. When the first offer comes, you don't take the first offer. When the first offer comes, you take the offer and you say to the F&I specialist, please can you go back to another bank and give them this offer and ask them if they can better that offer. If they come back and say no, then it's no. But it's better asking than sitting there and thinking that the deal that you got for the first time is going to be the best deal. If you are somebody who's lucky enough to have a private banker, you can also do that. You can take the deal that the F&I specialist got for you and you can give it to your banker and say, go and get me a better deal. Because remember, if the F&I specialist deal comes from a different bank outside of your main bank where you have a private banker, the private banker is going to try to retain you. So they're going to try and sweeten the deal as much as possible. But again, do not fall for the tricks. The tricks are they give you a longer term or they give you a balloon payment. I've now heard that there's a new thing that is on the market and it's called the step-up payment arrangement. Basically, this step-up payment arrangement changes how much you pay it changes how much you pay upon a milestone happening within the car loan agreement. So let's say after 1 year, you've been paying 6,000 and after 1 year, they step it up to 7,000. And then again, after 2 years, they step it up to 8,000 Rand. After 3 years, they step it up to 9,000 Rand. By the time you finish this thing, you could essentially be paying 15,000 Rand for a car that you started off paying 6,000 Rand. Now, might be ideal for some people, might not be ideal for some people. Remember, debt is a future liability. What you don't want is your debt or your liability becoming higher and higher in the future. It's meant to be becoming lower and lower. So why would you sign a deal where you know that this year you're going to be paying 6,000 and in the next couple of years you could potentially be paying 15,000 Rand a month? You are essentially taking away 15,000 Rand from your future. I don't think that's a great idea. But as I said, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but there are some people who may enjoy that tea with a dash of lemon and milk. So that's another deal that is available on the table for people to be able to consider. Now, for you to be able to do all of these things that I spoke about, especially negotiating and especially stipulating the terms and conditions, you need to make sure that you've got two things in the back of you must have these two things solid, right? These two things are affordability and of course your credit status. Affordability is basically how much disposable income do you have to service this new loan that you are asking for, and does this new loan not put you in a worse off position if the bank is to grant you the actual loan and the repayment every single month, it does not choke your budget. That's number one, because banks are not interested in partaking in reckless lending. They cannot give you a loan where the repayment every single month is going to put you in a worse off position every single month. The second thing, as I mentioned, is your credit status. You need to make sure that you've got a good, solid credit score. And the higher your credit score, the better for you. It gives you negotiating power and it gives you favorable terms and conditions from the bank from the onset. But you've got to make sure that you are investing in your credit score even way before you start looking to buy a house or a car using bank financing. Because banks are not silly. They can see when somebody has fixed their credit score simply for the next purchase. So that's why it's important to make sure that you are investing in managing, improving, and maintaining a good credit score. I'm going to leave it at that because I think I've said a mouthful. I'll carry on in another video, talk a little bit more about some things you need to consider when you are purchasing a car using bank or credit provider financing. I will see you guys on the next one. Please remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are, however, looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody that is certified and registered with the FSCA. I will see you guys on the next one.